What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with a Harpie deck profile. Just to update a couple of things in the deck profile itself, primarily because I have new additions to um, the game, well, cards from the game now, in that we are pretty much getting ready for September. After a ton of stuff that just happened within the last few weeks, because we've had the first YCS, the first UDS, and regionals have now started popping up. So I gotta get ready for mine in my area and hopefully do well because I have to test out a couple more things. And then I have a couple more decks that I'm currently working on that'll be hopefully up this weekend, if not this weekend, before next weekend, because next weekend is where I'll be attending my regionals. So, without further ado, because I don't want to get this extend this too long, let's get started. Alright, so I want to start off with my monster lineup. As I get everything over here sorted. There we go. I'm running 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer, 3 copies of Harpie Channeler, 3 copies of Harpie Harpist, 2 copies of Harpie Lady 1 copy of Cyber Harpie Lady, 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters, 1 copy of Harpie Queen, 1 copy of Harpie Dancer, and 1 copy of Harpie Oracle. And then for the last monsters in my main deck, I'm running 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So that is my monster lineup. We'll move on to my spells. I'm running 3 copies of Hysteric Sign, 2 copies each of Elegant Egotist, Harpie's Hunting Ground, Alluring Mirror Split, and then I'm running 1 copy of Harpie's Feather Rest, 1 copy of Triangle Ecstasy Spark, 1 copy of Double or Nothing, and 3 copies of Call by the Grave. So that is it for my spells. Then for my traps, I'm simply just running 3 copies of Harpie's Feather Storm, 2 copies of Hysteric Party, and 1 copy of Harpie Lady Elegance. So that is it for the traps, and that pretty much rounds off my main deck. For my extra, I am running 2 copies of Harpie Conductor, 2 copies of Great Fly, 1 copy of Barrel Sword Dragon, and that pretty much rounds out the extra deck Link monsters. And then for my Exceed monsters, I'm rocking 1 Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, 1 copy of Tornado Dragon. I was trying to figure out which one was next. Okay. 1 copy of Lightning Chidori, 1 copy of Castell, 1 copy of the Ice Beast Zero Fine, 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, 1 copy of Daggerstone Emerald, 1 copy of number 39 Utopia, 1 copy of number 39 Utopia Double, and 1 copy of Babushka the Terribly Tired Tape Eater. That way you guys can see it because the flashing glare from the light. So that is pretty much it for both the main and the extra. Alright, so it is time to talk about about the choices I put into this deck. So I'm going to start off, of course, with Harpie Perfumer. Perfumer is pretty much one of the starting engine cards. She's not the main focus in terms of the engine. She pretty much just helps get pieces to help extend the engine. I said engine. Her effect is when she's normal or special summoned, you can search your deck for a spell or trap card that specifically lists Harpie Lady Sisters in its text, and add it to your hand. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can add up to 2 cards from your deck, but they cannot share the same name from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Harpie Perfumer once per turn. So, Perfumer is pretty much there to get cards like Elegant Egotist, not Hysteric, sorry. Elegant Egotist, Harpie's Hunting Ground, especially cards like Alluring Mirror Split, Triangle Ecstasy Spark, because those are cards that are for Harpie Lady and Harpie Lady Sisters. And because it has Harpie Lady Sisters in its text, you're able to search for those cards and add them to your hand. And Perfumer does that with a ton of the resources that this archetype has to offer. And we're actually really happy to have Perfumer because those are more cards that we have the ability to play and the ability to use their effects through. Now, that is Harpie Perfumer. I want to move on to the deck's main star, and that is Harpie Channeler as a Harpie Connector. Harpie Channeler, discard one Harpie card from your hand, so summon one Harpie monster from your deck in defense. When you control a dragon type monster, this monster's level changes to 7. And you can not special summon a Harpie Channeler using the effects of Harpie Channeler. The level 7 plays if you want to run dragons, like Phantasme, Tempest, and Harpie's Pet, Phantasme, and Tempest. I mean, there are other extra deck monsters and stuff like that you can run our dragons, so it does help benefit that. One of the main benefits, of course, is that it helps Perfumer because she'll be able to search for 2 cards instead of 1. Um, Through that level change. And she's honestly, yes, the big engine of the Harpie deck because she can special summon the other Harpie monsters. And a lot of them have their effects when they are normal or special summon. Also, it just brings more presence to the board for Harpie Lady because all of them are treated as Harpie Lady. So, yeah, that is something to benefit from that. And I do adore Harpie Chandler and how awesome she is and how much of a main source she is to the deck. Harpies is the next monster. This monster is almost summoned. You can select one face-up winged beast monster you control, and one face-up monster your opponent controls, and return those cards to hand. When this card is in the graveyard because it was set this turn, search your deck. During your end phase, you search your deck for a level 4 winged beast monster with 15 or less attack, and you add it to your hand. Her primary targets are primarily um, Harpie Perfumer, Harpie Channeler, Harpie Dancer. You can even get Oracle. You get a variation of Harpie Lady that has 15 or less attack. So you have that range there. She's a good discard target for a lot of cards as well because it'll set up the graveyard. She's a good detached material for a lot of Exceed monsters. She just has a lot of all-around plays thanks to her effects. I was considering running Divine Wind of the Mist Valley in combination with Harpie Harpist and Harpie Dancer because that way you can have that ability to return stuff and it'll trigger Conductor, it'll trigger Divine Wind. You'll have like a lot of utility with a lot of things in this deck. It's just very situational right now because it's so many cards that you have to consider what you'll run, what you won't run, and I'd have to do a lot of deck building. So that is the Harpie Harpist. We're gonna move on to the last cards that are running in multiples, and ironically enough, because these monsters are always Trios Harpie Lady, that's why they are where they are in the deck. So 2 Harpie Lady, 1 Cyber Harpie Lady is what the combination of Harpie Lady I'm going for. Cyber Harpie Lady um, is a monster that just she technically is an effect monster, but her effect is not an effect. It's actually in condition due to the fact that she will always be treated as Harpie Lady, just like Cyber Harpie. Just like Harpie Lady 1, 2, and 3, these monsters are always treated as Harpie Lady no matter where they are. But Harpie Lady 1 has the bonus effect, and that is all when monsters gain 300 attack. Which is really great for a deck like this because Harpies will have a ton of attack boost. If you lose your hunting ground, you at least have the additional attack from these lovely ladies to inflict damage to your opponent. And I've seen games swept because Hysteric Party, Harpie Lady 1, Cyber Harpie, Queen, Chandler, and all that. So these are pretty much your targets for Elegant Egotists as well because they can only be summoned by Elegant Egotists because they're always Harpie Lady. So luckily enough, Harpie Queen, Chandler, Dancer, Perfumer, Oracle, and Conductor are Harpie Lady become Harpie Lady right on the field and graveyard due to their effect. So it does not force the deck to have to run an X amount of cards due to that stipulation. But these are pretty much just who I'm rocking right now. And since we are speaking of Elegant Egotists, we have to talk about Harpie Lady Sisters. So this is a monster no one thought would ever come back due to the fact that it is one of the 2 brickiest cards in the Harpie archetype to ever draw into. Luckily enough, we have a lot of support cards to help with that. Oracle, Perfumer, Alluring Mirror, Split, Harpie Lady Elegance, and of course his Harpie's Feather S. A lot of these cards now certified because they have Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. They have a lot of synergy with the Harpie Lady Sisters, and this is just one of those one-off cards. I was considering running 2 Harpie Lady Sisters just because of the fact that it would be 2 instead of 1. I have a lot of the range, and it's just something I was considering at this moment, but I don't know. I have to test a lot of it out. But the Harpie Lady Sisters are the only high level winged beast monster in the Harpie archetype. They don't have a generic effect except for they must first be special summoned by the effects of Elegant Egotist. So after that, you can special summon them other ways. But pretty decent stats for um, a decent enough level 6. However, with a lot of the bonus effects and cards, you get a lot out of Harpie Lady Sisters. So, that is the big brutes themselves. We're going to move on to the three of one of, that is Queen, Oracle, and Dancer. So, Harpie Oracle has the ability to, has her ability to add a spell or try a card of specifically list Harpie Lady Sisters from your graveyard and add it to your hand. But you only do this during the end phase. She can special summon herself. You control level 5 or higher Harpie monsters. So I am running Harpie Lady Sisters. I have the effect of Harpie Channeler. You can spot in Dragon if you want to. So you get a lot of range with that. There's just a lot of range of cards that you can easily take to manipulate level for the Harpies. And then you can take advantage of that and summon Harpie um, Oracle. It's also her secondary effect to be special summoned. And each effect can be used once a turn, which is great there. Harpie Dancer. Sadly enough, Dancer's not going to be running multiples just because it can be very inconsistent. Dancer's effect is that she can retrieve one wind monster you control, return it back to hand, and give you additional normal summon of a wind monster that turn. With that effect, you can abuse cards like the Violin of the Mist Valley, Harpie's Hunting Ground, Harpie Conductor, because of their effects when cards are normal or social summon or return back to the hand. Harpie Dancer helps assist that. Harpie Queen. She was the first Harpie monster to have the effect of this card's name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field in the graveyard. Alongside of her, of course, Dancer, Queen, Dancer, Oracle, Perfumer, Conductor, Channeler, and Oracle, because they all are treated as Harpie Lady. We could have that effect as well to become Harpie Lady when from the graveyard. Her effect, of course, is that she discards herself to add Harpie's Hunting Ground from your deck to your hand. So you have another way to search for your fill spell. You have a 19 beater attached to that, as well as someone to start off Hysteric Party because of it being in the graveyard. So, yeah, it's pretty much my big 3 of. And then the only other card to talk about for monsters is, of course, my hand trap of choice, the Ash Blossom Joyous Springs. This is primarily just so that I can deal with a lot of the nasty things that the main game staple setup is. Cards that can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, cards that can special summon cards from the deck, and then cards that are trying to retrieve cards. So, that is pretty much my monster lineup. We move on to my spells. I'm running 3 copies of Hysteric Sign. This card is amazing because it has both utility effects for the Harpies. The first utility is that you can add Elegant Egotist from your deck or graveyard to your hand when activating this card. The other effect is that if this card is sent from hand or field to the graveyard, during the end phase, you can search your deck for up to 3 cards with Harpie in its name that are different from each other and add them to your hand. Because of the range that you have with this card's effect, you can add any of your Harpie monsters, add any of your Harpie spells. You can even add any of your Harpie traps. Yeah, that's actually a first now, because we even have trap cards now that can be searched by Hysteric Sign. And the utility behind those traps are just as amazing as the utility behind the spells and the monsters. The only thing about this card that does hurt it is that you have to pick and choose which effect you want to go off, and you only use one of those effects per turn. So if you choose to add Elegant Egotist, you cannot pop this card to search, or discard this card through effect to search. That's the only downside to it. But other than that, it's an amazing card for the Harpies, in an amazing range that this card can search for. And an amazing thing that this card can be used to discard to do other effects. We're going to move on for Hysteric Sign. We're going to talk about Double Elegant Egotist. Running 2 Ego, so that way I have a lot of cards to search for this card. I have ways to retrieve this card. It's pretty much just to hype up the massive summons and then get a lot of those big monsters onto the board. So Elegant Egotist and the Harpie Lady Sisters, Elegant Egotist into any variation of Harpie Lady, and then you have those additional monsters you can link or exceed into and go from there. And this effect is not once per turn, so that's even a bright side to it. Harpie's Hunting Ground, the field spell for the Harpie archetype. Its effect is that whenever Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters is no more special summon, the conductor of the summon selects a spell or trap on the field and destroys that card. 200 additional attack and defense to all winged beasts on the field. Sadly enough, the additional 200 attack and defense is null and void because we have Ebola as the field spell for Samorg that gives 100 more attack and defense than Hunting Ground. Unfortunately for Aboris, Hunting Ground has the ability to make every monster in its archetype that is treated as Harpie late that's treated as a particular monster or is a certain monster to destroy spells and traps on the field. Harpies have a great edge against that because of back row destruction thanks to two of their most infinite back row removing cards. Harpie's Hunting Ground and Harpie Feather Duster. So that way you had utility to destroy back row, and then your Harpies could swing in for massive effects. We now have our own spells and traps that we can destroy and not have to worry about um, negative effects of destroying our own spells and traps because we can benefit from a lot of them being destroyed, which is great. I'm only running 2 because I honestly feel 3 is very, very cloggy. This isn't one of those formats still where it's needed for it. But however, Judgment is around, so if you do want to run 3, I most likely would probably sign it in. But I have a lot of back row hate as well for road, spells and jobs anyway. So yeah, that is pretty much Harpie's Hunting Ground. We move on to Alluring Mirror Split, coming from one of the 2 spells that came from Sisters of the Rose. So when a Harpie Lady or Sisters is destroyed by battle it's destroyed by battle. You can summon a Harpie monster whose whose original name is different from the one that was destroyed. So thankfully, even though most of the Harpie monsters on the field are going to be Harpie Lady, you can get Queen, Chandler, Dancer, all of them from the main deck and put them onto the board. This opens up a lot of their various plays. You can even play Harpie's Pet and Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon to get their effects going, and you really just have a good range of it. Now, the other effect of this card is if this card is destroyed by your Harpie card effect or your opponent's card effect, you can summon a Harpie monster from the graveyard to the field. So with this effect, you can pop this with Hunting Ground, then get a new monster from the graveyard back to the field. If you lose your Harpie Lady Sisters who are properly summoned, you can activate this card's effect to summon them, and then you have that array of support and utility. So we have the Alluring Mirror Split to end it off. Now we're gonna go on to a lot of the one-ups. We have Triangle Ecstasy Spark, and we have Harpie's Feather Rest. So Feather Rest is pretty much the archetype's Pot of Avarice. You'll return any combined of Harpie Lady and or Harpie Lady Sisters in your graveyard. Shuffle them back into your deck and then draw a card. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can draw 2 cards instead of 1. The other effect of this is that if this card's effect resolves, the only monsters you can summon for the turn are wind. So I hope your deck has a lot of wind utility because that's primarily what's going to help benefit. Wind just has a lot of range. You have cards like Chidori, Castel, Phantasmal, you have Conductor, you have Great Fly. So you don't, like, if anyone says, oh, Wind doesn't have enough, strong enough of an extra deck presence, they don't play Wind. Like, they should really look into a lot of Wind cards. Even the Synchros and Exceeds have great range with the extra deck. Triangle Ecstasy Shark is one of my signature favorites because it is the signature attack of the Harpie Lady Sisters. What it does is that when you only have to pretty much you have to have Harpie Lady Sisters on the field to activate this card's effect. It will make all Harpie Lady Sisters on the board 2,700. Their your opponent can activate spells or trap. Can activate trap cards or the effects of trap cards to the end of the turn, so you get over that. And it's just really big, beefy boost of a card thanks to this. It's really powerful for the Harpie Lady Sisters. I'm only running one of each because multiples of these are too cloggy and they're not that bad. Broken of cards to actually use themselves. Next up is just the 3 Call by the Grave because this is a card that will help your opponent's hand deal with your opponent's hand traps and deal with a lot of your opponent's nasty monster effects as well. And a must have at 3 if you're going to be running this. The other card is Double or Nothing, but I'm actually going to wait till I get to Utopia and Utopia Double to talk about Double or Nothing. So we'll move on to the traps. I'm running 3 copies of Feather Storm. This is one of the most broken Harpie traps in the game. This card has the ability to stop all your opponent's monster effects till the end of the turn. If you control a heart, you need to control a winged beast to activate this. First of all, the second one is that you need to have a Harpie monster to activate this card from your hand. So, luckily enough, you have the range of those. I did show it off in some more where you can play this with Conductor, because someone can easily summon Conductor and not be hurt by her. So you have that range, and then you have Castell, who you can set this card, and then on your opponent's turn, flip it while Castell's on the field, and then bam, you're gonna get your opponent's monster effects at the end of the turn. The only downside to this card is that its last effect. You can't get Harpie's Feather Duster because in the TCG, because it's banned. If the TCG did have Harpie's Feather Duster, I'm pretty sure not only would this card spike, but the sales of Feather Duster would spike as well. Because they do spike every time a ban list is supposedly around. So that is the triple Feather Storm. We're going to move on to Hysteric Party. This is a card that most people were running at 3. It's still an option to run at 3, but I think 2 is just more easier to manage instead of the 3. Hysteric Party, discard 1 card from your hand, so summon as many Harpie ladies as possible from your graveyard to the field. Like I said earlier, Harpie Queen, Chandler, Conductor, Perfumer, and Oracle are all Harpie Lady while in the graveyard. So, yeah, Chandler, Perfumer, Oracle, Harpies, Queen, Dancer. The variations on Harpie Lady says 1, 2, 3, Cyber, the normal monster, Harpie Lady, and Harpie Conductor. So you practically have 12 targets that this card can get, and in whatever combination you can. If this card leaves the field, it is destroyed. If this card is leaves the field, destroy the monsters attached to it. But I think with Conductor, you can easily get over that as well. So yeah, that is the double Harpie double Hysteric Party. And the only other trap to talk about is Harpie Lady Elegance. So what this card does is that it shuffles back your Harpie Lady Sisters into your deck, and then you special summon 1 monster from your hand, your graveyard, and your main deck that are Harpie monsters to the board. Um, Works great with getting the triple set. You can easily get cards like Dragon, and then Chandler, and then Perfumer, and then bam, Perfumer can search. Um, get you a standing ovation of Harpie monsters, like Harpie Lady 1, Cyber Harpie is actually in the graveyard, so she'll still be Harpie Lady, but go get Queen, and then get Oracle and stuff like that. You have a range of what you can get from this. If you use this effect and it resolves, you can only summon wind monsters, so just like Feather S, it is locked behind the promotion of only wind summon. And if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect or your Harpie card effect, you can add a Harpie monster from your deck to your hand, so it's pretty much a Rhoda. Um, you only use each effect once per turn, so it's not like Hysteric Party. Hysteric Sign. So you can easily use both effects during the same turn, just like Alluring Mirror Split. You can use both of its effects once per turn each. So that is pretty much the main deck itself. And as we move on to the extra, Harpie Conductors is pretty much the second extra deck monster for the Harpie archetype. This is the first extra deck monster to be treated as Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard. She's a link to, she's winged beast. And so her effects are pretty much very, very defensive and can be used very offensively as well. If any of your Harpie monsters were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, destroy one of your spell and trap cards instead. So with the range of spells and traps we have, you can easily destroy them, and then bam, you can destroy your opponents. You can protect your Harpie monsters from stuff like Dark Hole, Reiki, Spiritual Tribute, just a lot of those nasty card effects. Then the other effect she has is when the Harpie monsters return to the hand, you select a special summon monster your opponent controls and return that card to hand. So that's why it was implementing cards like Divine Wind, Harpie Dancer, Harpie Harpist, because they have return effects. Cards like Compulsory Evacuation Device, Compulsory Escape Device, those kinds of cards as well can be beneficial to Harpies if you choose to run them. So, this is the lovely Harpie Conductor. And she's also 1900 attack. I think these are still, no one has exceeded Harpie Sisters except for Dragon and Phantasmal in terms of base original attack and defense. So we move on from them. Double Great Fly for additional 500 attack points. and his ability to retrieve a wind monster in the graveyard and add back to hand. This is a staple win setup I have with most of the cards in my extra deck. So that is it for the Great Fly. Then Barrel Sword Dragon for offensive defensive setup. This is probably one of the biggest rank 4s I've run in the Harpies because the other one is Barrel Low Dragon. And a lot of them, this is really, really useful to the Harpie archetype. So that's why I have them around. It's going to be a long video, trust me. I want to round off the first round of Exceed monsters. Tornado Dragon, Phantasmal Dragon, Castel, and Ice Beast. These are pretty much the 5 staples I've used for Harpies, for Exceeds in general. Um, Great utility, great friends. Of course, we know Phantasmal is the first Harpie extra deck monster. 4 wind monsters to make this monster summon. Um, it protects Harpie monsters being targeted by a battle or card effect. It can attack your opponent directly. And note, during each of your interfaces, it has to detach the material from it. Detaches the material from itself, so take advantage of cards like Harpie Harpus and her ability to search during the end phase. Tornado Dragon, Castel, and Chidori have the ability to remove cards on the field. Tornado does it once a turn for spells and traps. Chidori can target set cards on the field when he's summoned and send them back to the deck. He also has the ability to send face-up cards on the field back to the top of the deck. Castel has the ability to attach 2 material from himself to send cards shuffle cards back into the deck, and then he has the ability to detach a material to set a card on the field that's face up on the field. So then Janori can come in and get rid of it with its effect. The Ice Beast Roll Fine can activate her effect by detaching material, negating all face up cards your opponent controls. But for every card that's face up on the field, she's going to gain 300 attack until your next standby phase. So she's going to really deal with that. We're going to move on to the next set of extra deck monsters, and that's Abyss Dweller in like a Skull Emerald. Emerald is just another pot of avarice effect, and Abyss Dweller pretty much helps with graveyard effects, having the ability to stop a lot of them. And I don't run water. If I was running water, he gains 500 attack and defense, but there's no water Harpy. Everybody's pretty much wind. So that is Emerald. That is Dweller. Now we move on to Utopia and Utopia Double, and now we can talk about Double or Nothing. So I don't know the real basis of how this works off, but I have been testing it. So what you do is you make Utopia Double, and then you search for Double or Nothing. Then you can put any Utopia monster on top of Utopia Double, and it's counted as like seed summon, and then any extra material still attached to Double is given to that new monster as material. So Utopia was a choice because it works well with Double or Nothing. You can play Utopia the Lightning if you want to add that as an option, because in Utopia Lightning can strike, then detach, and then bam, that's 5k right there. But the whole thing with Utopia is that it's able to stop its effects. Double or Nothing will trigger, allowing you to give that monster the chance to attack again, but double is protecting defense. When Utopia Double is involved, you summon Utopia Double, the trigger the effect to summon the new Utopia monster. That new Utopia monster will have its attack and defense doubled, and then it can't attack directly, but it can attack your monsters. So you set up to where you can play the Double or Nothing off the Utopia, negate the first effect, and then have it swing again to inflict tons of damage. I think that's how the OTK works. I don't know because I've never played OTK. I don't really rely on a lot of OTK scenarios. Now, the only other monster to talk about, of course, is Babushka, and this is pretty much just here for stall purposes in case I need to set up my boards and get my stuff ready and going. So that is pretty much it for the entire Harpie deck profile, you guys. I know it's a long video. Well, I talk about my things. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your support. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys next time. HPJ, signing out. Take care.